Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, February 19th, 2024. Yep, we're halfway through February, and I want to say happy birthday to my oldest son, whose birthday is tomorrow. I don't know if he's watching or not, but 32 years. 32 years old. That's a big number. It really is. I look back at what I was doing when I was his age, and sometimes it's a little overwhelming, all the crazy stuff that I was doing back then. And you know, it's part of life. You go through these phases of life. You date, you get married, you have kids, and then you sacrifice the rest of your life trying to take care of your kids, and hopefully they grow up to be good adults and eventual parents as well. And I will say I'm pretty happy with how he's turned out, and the other two as well. But he's the only one that is married and has given us some grandkids. So I'm very appreciative of that. I hope everybody is doing well. If you're new to my Monday night live streams, we talk about classic cars, and I say classic cars. That's a general term. Meaning for me roughly about 1955 up until maybe 78, 79, 80, kind of that range. And if you have any ideas or questions or things you want to bring up about that era or those cars, that's fantastic. Sometimes we do get people that ask questions, more modern stuff, and I may or may not be able to help you with that. The nice part about it is we have a great group of people that show up every Monday, and they're usually in that chat box over there, and they participate as well. So if I don't have a good answer for you, one of them probably do, and they are more than likely, in some cases, a lot more knowledgeable than I am in some of these things. And if you do participate, you get a bell. Yep, just like that. That was a freebie. So welcome to my garage. If any of you, I know all of you have probably been watching my videos and you've seen the change over time of my garage. Somebody had commented on an old picture or something from my Facebook page that I have, and they might have been, was it Dave? Might have been Dave Tyson. Might have been about the changes in the shop over the years. And of course, if you remember, these walls were not covered. They were just 2x4s and no insulation and all that sort of thing. So there's been, again, as time goes on, things change, right? So I want to thank everybody for showing up and being part of this. If you would hit the thumbs up and the like button, or the like button and the thumbs up, same thing, I guess. But subscribe to the channel and be part of this whole process. But again, thank you for being here. First in tonight is Terry Keithley. Happy Monday, everyone. Please give Barry a thumbs up and a like. Thank you kindly. Yes. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. Rick Stevenson checking in. I'm not sure where he's at tonight. I know he resides in Florida, but he travels a lot. So glad you're here, Rick. Derek Pro from the land down under. Hi, Barry, everyone. Hope all is well. How satisfying it is to have the car together. Great work. Legend. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And yes, it does feel really good to have all those welds welded in. There's a lot of grinding to do still, and I was reviewing some of the steps I'm going to take in the next video. I've got to get the roof set. I still realize I didn't have the header panel on the windshield frame welded in yet, so that has to be welded in, and then I have to fit the rain gutters. And I've been looking at how those go in, and thankfully I have the other Mach 1 to compare to, and I think I have it figured out. It's not, I'm probably making it more complicated than I need to, and it's going to work out pretty well. So glad you're here, Derek. Steve Reed, hello, Barry and everyone. Hope everything is going great. Thank you, Steve. Likewise. Dave Britton, hi from Chile, Ontario, the Great White North. Glad you're here, Dave. Steve's Money Pit. I think Wisconsin. I think, for Steve. Hello, everyone. Make sure to raise the finger for Barry. Wonder if Robert's going to grill something for us before it gets hot, or too hot for him. Yeah. Glad you're Steve. Raise the finger. I'm not sure what that means. Thumbs up would be nice. So. Colin, hey gang, what's up? Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you, Colin. And Dave Tyson, evening. Good evening, all. Good evening, Dave. That's our first Dave sighting, right? Yeah, I think so. Troy Justit, welcome to another fun-filled evening of Bourbon with Barry. Nice picture. I forgot about the gasser. Yeah, I don't know if he's finished it or not. I know there was a big push to have that car put together, and there were some family health issues and stuff he was trying to take care of, and that was part of the reason he wanted to put it together, to have a drive in it or whatever. I have not followed up with that to see if he has finished it, but yeah, that was an interesting project, and it was a lot of fun. Those are the kind of things. I say I like challenges, and that was a challenge because, for one, I had never done it before, and that lets me think. Lets me study and determine a path to follow. And so that was a fun project. It didn't turn out there. The only thing I didn't like about it was the steering system. I still don't like it. I think we would have been further ahead putting in a rack and pinion on that car, but at this point, it's all I could do with it. That's what we had. Mr. Mikey, 1949. Howdy, y'all. Glad to be present for Big Barry. I'm glad you're here, Mr. Mikey. Jerry is checking in from the Money Pit in Middle Tennessee. Thumbs up for Barry. Thank you, Jerry. And Dawn is checking in. Dawn's Manufacturing. Hello there, all. Use Barry sites. 50 plus degrees. Partly sunny here in PDX. Partly sunny, that's a positive outlook. That's a lot better than saying partly cloudy, right? That's what they tell us. It's partly cloudy. Well, it's also partly sunny. Yeah, so that's a good positive way to look at it. I was just watching Don's, I think it's his latest video, and the ongoing saga of the suspension. I'm with Don. You get these products that they tell you this, they tell you that. It's good for this, it's good for that, and then you get it, and a lot of people may just put it together and go, well, it is what it is. And I appreciate Don for doing extra to try to make sure things are the way they should be. He has a lot of knowledge and experience. If you haven't seen his videos, by all means check him out. But man, you're going through a lot, Don. I hate it for you, I really do. But here's another bell, just to make you feel loved. Hindsight 6-7, Roger. Greetings from next door. Glad to hear, Raj. And Robert, the Infernal Craftsman. Evening all. And Robert, just like that, I was also watching your latest video where you were welding up the differential housing. So that looks like it went pretty well. I know there's lots of, like you had mentioned, the tubes for the axle housing, however you want to label it, they're not round. They don't need to be round. They're just a welded together pipe in essence. And you were talking about the variables, and that's a good point to bring up to people. Ideally, the only thing that matters on that is that the axles are straight. It really, you could even have the index off slightly, and it'll change a little bit with the rotation of the disc brake mount, the caliper mount, that sort of thing. But really, as long as they're straight and the right length, there's really not much that could go wrong with that, in my opinion. So, oh wow, okay, Jeff. Awesome, man. Awesome. You are the man. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. That helps a ton. I appreciate that. That's awesome. All praise for Jeff right now. And he also says, Evening Barry and everyone, hope everyone had a good weekend. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you so much. Let me see where we're at here. Getting close. Almost have it figured out. So, okay. Michael Pagliarini. Hello, all from Rhode Island. Hello, Michael. Glad you're here. Rusty from Rusty's Restoration. Hello, Barry and all. The Mustang is coming along great. Everyone give a thumbs up. Yes, thank you, Russ. Yeah, you know, I've had a contest on Facebook, and I think Randy Bayless was one that got it closest to the right answer. And my question that I posed was, how many spot welds did it take? I say spot welds, they're really plug welds. Did it take to fully weld on both quarter panels, the deck filler panel, the seat divider? So all those pieces to be fully welded on. There was a little contest that I had on there, and I think Randy Bayless, I think I was right. He was the closest one. Y'all can guess if you want, and I will tell you exactly how many it took in a little bit. But let's see here. Nandu, good evening, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Nandu. Happy you're here. Robert, Steve, I did chicken skewers with seasoning I brought back from Greece for dinner, 70s and 80s this week. Yeah, it's starting to get warm. I'd be okay with that right now. It's been chilly the last couple days here. But yeah, I'd be happy with that too. The chicken and the heat would be good. Clark Clifford. Clark is here. We saved the leg for you. No, the neck. We saved the neck for you, Clark. Cutworm 59 says happy birthday. Well, thank you, sir. Yeah, it's hard to believe. 32 years. 32 years. Troy Jussett, your son shares a birthday with me. I wish I was 32 again. That ship sailed a long time ago. Yeah, I know that feeling. I could tell you this. I've been doing pretty good. I took that time off and allowed other things to heal. That was a good thing for me. But I have ongoing issues, especially with my ankles. And anymore, I don't know, I'm going to have to get a strap or something. I injured my ankle pretty severely when I was in the military. And then, of course, over time, things have just gotten worse. And it's almost like, if you took I don't know how to verbalize it very well. But like if you had a ball and socket, like a ball joint, let's say like a ball joint, and it was worn out, and you could take that ball and move it in and out. That's kind of what my ankle does. So sometimes it's great. I can walk. I used to run and everything. But now I can get up off of this stool, and if I don't plant my foot right, I'm wincing in pain and having to, pull it up and try to, I don't know. It's weird. It's like everything is just separated or easily pulls apart. So I think I have to get one of those. I have some ankle supports, but I think I'm going to get one of the Ace Bandage ones that wraps around it really nice and snug, just so it helps keep it together. Because I was told by a doctor just a few years ago, and she was in the civilian world, but she was an ex-military doctor, and she said, "Oh, you must have been like airborne." And I said, "Yeah," and I did, air assault, and I was infantry, and blah blah blah, and all this stuff. And she's looking at my ankle, and she's with the X-rays. She's like, "Yeah, I hate to tell you this, but they're probably gonna have to replace that ankle." Yeah, that's what she told me, and I thought, "Oh, this is comforting." An ankle replacement. We've all heard of hip replacements or shoulders and all the extensive stuff, but an ankle replacement. I think what it comes down to is they put in a door hinge. I think they just screw a door hinge to your lower bone and the top of your foot so it'll pivot. I think that's all you end up with. Either way, I'm not looking forward to it. Dave Conville is checking in from New Jersey. Good evening, all. Evening, Dave. Richard Vogel. Good evening, Barry. Great to see you. All you have accomplished. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Todd DeBockler. I keep saying that wrong. I want to say blocker because it looks like blocker. Todd DeBockler. Good evening, Barry. Good evening, Todd. Thank you. Why is the floor all wet, Todd? See, I'm throwing in movie quotes along the way here. Amateur Hour Restoration. Hey, Barry and all. Hope all is good. Thank you, sir. Glad you're here. Jerry is checking in. Howdy, Barry. Howdy, y'all. I pray all are well. We had a nice day, and Robert isn't grumpy, so win-win. Oh, that is good. That is very good. That's good to hear. Dave Tyson says, was your first video. Okay. Oh, the introduction video. Yeah. Yeah, that one definitely. I was younger and thinner then, too. Yeah, that was a while ago. David Gless. When I was 32, my kids were 10, and my car building days were on hold. Yeah, I look back. Let's see. I don't know. I'd have to do a lot of math right now. I think I quit racing at like 29 or something, because of kids and stuff, and somebody wanting to kill me and on the racetrack, which was never fun. So kind of gave up on all that. But I never gave up on building cars. I've always been building cars. It's just I can't stop myself. 69 Stang says, hi, everyone. Hi, 69 Stang. Glad you're here. 67 Mustang Coupe Restoration. Enjoy watching part 31. Great to see the back end going together. Thank you, sir. Glad you're here. Jerry says, oh yeah, happy birthday to your son. My daughter is 3 years behind him, but no grandkids yet. Yeah, unfortunately, we have our other son. He will be 30 this year, and our daughter will be, what year is this? She'll be 26, I think. Yeah, no kids from them. They're not even married. So we're hopeful. Derek, Barry sent you an email. May be good for a chat subject. Okay. Well, we'll take a look and see what you sent, Derek. If it shows up. I know sometimes we have issues with, and it's not here yet. So it must have to bounce off a few satellites before we can get a look at it. Cutworm, do you drive a vintage car? Well, yes and no. Typically, I have a daily driver. I drive a little Honda Fit that I have. I have my truck that I drive when I need to. But I do have the 68 Mustang, known as Jade, that I did some videos on just I don't know, finished up a couple years ago. And I also have a 1931 Model A. So that's Jade that most everybody's familiar with. And here's a picture of Jade and the 31 Model A that I restored. That was my grandfather's car, and I restored it back in 2006, 2007. So I don't they're not like daily drivers or anything, but I do have those. And also, if this counts, there's the dune buggy, which will probably be going up for sale soon. Need to sell that car. But that's the bulk of it. I also, well, not that I have this one running or not, but there's a picture of the Model A and my brother's 64 Studebaker that I plan to get on the road again. So, yeah, I have a few a few old cars. And I also have my own 69 Mach 1, but not drivable. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff here that's not functional at the moment, but I do have a variety that is. So let's see, the Dawn. But thank you for that question, Cutworm. The Dawn says, hi everyone, great to be here. Great work on the Carberry. Wait, what? Robert isn't grumpy? And Robert says, give me 5 minutes and I'll be grumpy again. Okay. Donnie Alvey, good evening, Barry. Hello from Paducah, Kentucky. Glad you're here, Denny. Simone is checking in, hooked on classics. Hi, Barry and chat. Hello, Simone. Glad you're here. I'm gonna download. Let's see here, a picture, or well, at least one picture from Derek. Yeah, and we'll download that picture here in just a second. But glad you're here, Simone. Let me see if I can get that So Derek has sent me this picture, and he had said his comment on that is, here's some pics of the Alpha I just completed many works to. All were created due to lack of use. Need to make people understand if you have a classic car, or any toy for that matter, drive them. If they sit, it's no good. And you're right. You're absolutely right. When cars sit, things go wrong, and that's a pretty common problem. So that's a sharp looking car, though. I mean, it really is nice, very nice. Let's see here. Dawn. Dawn's manufacturer. The bell of progress, ringing in the hope of betterness. Here's an extra one, free of charge. Derek Pro, on a race car we had, the axle tubes were bent on purpose to create camber. Not fun doing axle bearings, though. Yeah, I'll bet. That would, yeah, but I understand your purpose there. Dawn's manufacturer is 1200. I'm missing. I'm not sure what that means, Dawn. I'm sure there was a question somewhere that we answered. 1200. Lynn, hello Barry. I hope all is well. Thank you, Lynn. Glad you're here. Derek Pro, at least triple the amount of factory welds for sure. Well, you know, I don't know about triple the amount, but there's enough there to. Oh, sorry, Don, you're saying 1200. I get it now. 1200 is a guess on the welds. Not that high. Not that high. Shannon Vaughn, hello everyone. Just got here. Well, glad you're here, Shannon. Simone, I can't stay long tonight. I'm not feeling too good today. Had a fairly warm day today, so I spent some time using a tap and die set on some Kawasaki parts. Well, that's a good thing to take care of. Derek says, my tie rod ends are worn also. Yeah. Richard, Barry, any update on a spot welder? No, I did not buy a spot welder. I had one offered to me, though. And I appreciated the offer, that's for sure. One of my Facebook followers who, what was it, a chassis liner, spot and pull system. It's an older system, but he says it still works. He offered it to me, but that one would have been really nice, but I just can't afford it. I think he wanted $2,000 for it, and he said when it was new, it sold for like $11,000, and I believe him. But I just can't justify. That. Now the other ones, the Harbor Freight ones, I sort of want to pull the trigger, but then I sort of don't. I need to see one in action and feel comfortable with it to know that it would suit what I want, or what I want it to do. But yeah, at this point, I'm just going to continue to do my plug welds. But good question. Thank you, Richard. Troy, I had the nerve burned in my lower back last week. I feel amazing now. No pain down my right leg. That's just kind of awkward to digest. I had the nerve burned in my lower back. That sounds rough. Now, I've never heard of that, to be honest. I've never heard of somebody having a nerve burned or whatever. But assuming that it takes care of whatever was being pinched or damaged, I hope that relieves the pain for you permanently, and then you're able to function. So I'll just say ouch in advance, because it doesn't sound like a nice thing to go through. Derek Pro, those elastic sleeves work well for support. These days, even wearing elastic black support for lower back really helps. Yes, that is true. That is true. Troy, also broke my ankle on parachute jump and suffer with pain in that. Yeah, my ankle's really, really, really bad. Like, really, really bad. Simone, the car looks good, Barry. Thank you, Simone. Appreciate that. Rick Gain, late arrival tonight. I've had a lot going on the last couple of days. Hope everybody's doing well. Thank you, Rick. Glad you're here. CSX Cobra, thoughts on lacquer paint versus newer paint? That's a good question. And I'm only going to be able to give you one side of that answer. Just a second. The only experience I actually have is with base coat, clear coat. I've never sprayed lacquer. Now, I've had other people tell me that they like to use lacquer. But I have really no hands-on experience with it. So I can't give you an opinion as to whether it's a better option or not. There's advantages to both, obviously. And base coat, clear coat, it gives you one way to take care of issues. Lacquer gives you another way to take care of issues. Is one better than the other? Probably, but I really don't have the hands-on experience to tell you the advantages of lacquer. So there's probably somebody else on here who has that experience and can voice those, but I appreciate the question. So hopefully we'll get some input. Clark is saying, ask why jade is blue. It's not blue. In fact, look, I'll show you a comparison. Wait a minute. This ends that question. Where did I put it? Yeah, look. See? The Model A is blue. Jade is not blue. Nope. Still not blue. You can see it right there. Yep, I win. Jade's not blue. It's not blue. I'm telling you. It's not blue. Harvey. Hello, Barry from Rally Cat Garage. Happy Monday. Glad you're here, Harvey. Michael Pagliari, I use a wrist brace almost all the time. The brand is Mueller. Don't even know it's there. Comfort-wise, may work for your ankle. Yeah, I'll be looking at something very closely here in the next day or so. I used to wear wrist braces, but it was for carpal tunnel. That was a horrible, horrible thing to deal with, and I had the surgery almost 17 years ago now. Best surgery I could have ever had. It took care of the carpal tunnel, and it was amazing the transformation that I went through with that. So I encourage everybody, if you got carpal tunnel problems and everything I was trying was not helping, surgery fixed it. Jerry saying, the Dawn, yeah, he has been a good boy the past few days. Okay. Jerry says, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got mixed up. Robert, DeQuino would like that car. Oh, the Alpha? Yeah. And Dawn says, nice, Jerry, and great job on the diff, Robert. Yep. Jerry, I love that Alpha. I wanted that car when it first came out. Well, you could probably get that one. It might be a while to ship it, but and Robert says he's having a battle with his camera. Yeah, it's always fun to have camera issues. Rick Stevenson, as long as you don't let the camera win, yes. Dawn says spot welds 1200 since Betsy's Cal was 220. Yeah, it wasn't that many to do the quarters and all that, but it was more than 220. I can say that. The Dawn, still always great vids from you, Barry. You and Barry, great channels. Thank you, sir. Lynn, I got a handheld stick welder. It gets the job done, and the price was right. Well, okay. I have not used a stick welder on a car in quite some time, as far as a sheet metal or anything like that. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Dave Britton, feeling amazing now, and burned nerve would never normally be in the same sentence. Ouch. Yeah, I agree with you on that. That does not sound positive. Rabluo. To Robert, been watching for the completion of your shortened rear end. Good luck with your camera. Yes. Robert says thanks. It is winning the fight right now. Yeah. I can tell you this. I've mentioned it before, and I know Robert he's got a GoPro. I have my little Hero 7, and this camera's been good to me. I will say that it has been good. I also bought last year a Hero 11, a little bit bigger. It came with a whole bunch of accessories. This has been a pretty good camera as well. So I can't complain right now about my GoPros. They seem to be doing the job that I need them to do. Speaking of cameras, this is the camera that I use all the time. This Canon HFR 800. And I shared some pictures on Facebook, I think. I've had to change this lens twice now. So I had an older version of this. I had a 700 that quit working, and that's why I bought the 800. And so I damaged the lens. I stole the lens off the 700 and put it in this one. And then I really messed up the lens. And you probably maybe seen in some of the older video, in the videos in the past year, there's like little spots on the screen. And finally I got to the point where I said, okay, I got to fix that. So I tried to find just that lens from Canon, and I couldn't find anywhere to buy it. So I went on eBay, and I bought another camera. Where did I put it? I don't even know where I put it. It's an HRF 400. And yeah. So this one, basically, it's just, these were updated. The 800 was an updated version of this one. But it had the exact same lens. Now, I bought this off of eBay. They sold it as a non-functional camera. It's broken. It doesn't work. So I got it for like $20, but it had a perfect lens in it. So I took the lens out of this one and I put it in this one. Now, here's the thing. I try to be careful when I'm welding, but sometimes sparks just go all over the place. And somebody suggested, I forget who it was, somebody suggested on my Facebook page that I look into a filter. This just showed up today. I ordered this off of Amazon, and I'm assuming it's the right size. I have not tried it yet. I hope that it fits, but it's basically just a clear. Look at that. It fits. You probably can't see it very well, but it fits. Cool. So now what I can do, I think these are like $7. Now I can have a few of these, and here's something else I would like to try. This is just apparently maybe a clear lens. It says it's a filter. I don't know if it does anything or not, but I've been wanting to show more welding technique, when I'm trying to weld, but the camera can't see that. It's so bright that it needs some sort of a filter. So I have to look into what I may be able to get for a filter for that purpose. So now at least I have this, which I can replace if I damage it with weld. So I'm happy about that. Okay. Other than that, speaking of cameras, Robert, I also have one of these. This is a camera I use for all my time lapse. This is literally like a $50 camera, made in China. It's on eBay, and it's cheap. I mean, it is a dirt cheap camera, and the only thing I use it for is time lapse. I tried to film with it, and it will film. But I found I could just make this a dedicated time-lapse camera. There it goes. Make a dedicated time-lapse camera out of this and not worry about changing the settings and all that other stuff. It's a fluky camera. I'll say that. It kind of has its own mind, but it does work really well for doing my time-lapse stuff. So you might want to look at something like that just as an option. Just a thought. And also when it films time-lapse, it doesn't record any sound. So that's another thing. Dave Britton, on my screen, Jade looks as blue as the sky. Well, it's not. It's not. It's not blue. I'm telling you. C&J Hoyt, yes, we see blue. What do you see? Good evening. It's not blue. It's not blue. I'm just telling you right now. It's not blue. Glad you're here, C&J. It's Gulfstream Aqua. It's sort of blue. Derek, it is a 1985, originally from California, talking about the Alpha. Very rare example, no rust. Yeah, that would be rare on that one. Steve Reed, 600 spot welds. Not 600. Less than 600, that's for sure. Robert, J does not look that blue in person. It's closer to seafoam greenish. Really looks good. The camera doesn't do it justice. Thank you, Robert. Wait, there you go. Yeah, it is. It's sort of blue. Sort of blue. Ron Walker says, hi, Joe. Hi, Ron. Clark, today, Britt, I'm ringing a cowbell for your comment. I do believe the karting accident caused Barry's little issue. Wait a minute. What are we talking about? It's not blue. I'm telling you. Terry Keithley, hey, Jerry, I put the Buckeye hex on Robert's camera. Uh-oh. Troy Justit, my L3, L5 discs are gone. I don't even like to read that. They insert a probe into the lower back and burn the nerve that goes down your leg to your foot. It lasts about a year, then the nerve grows back. Oh, that's comforting. Yeah. That doesn't sound anywhere near appealing whatsoever. Sorry you're going through that. Derek says, put the camera in the welding helmet. You know, I have tried that, actually. It's really hard to I can't put it in my own helmet, obviously. I have tried to put a filter, a welding filter in front of the camera, but the camera doesn't react properly. Well, I've been doing it with like the GoPro. So if I take a lens and put it in front of it, I think it sees the lens and it acts like it's all dark and it can't pick up something. It's got to be like a regular, like a filter attachment or something. And I know other people do it. I know one of a friend of mine. Well, I say friend of mine, a former coworker, welding tips and tricks. Welding tips and tricks. He used to be an instructor out at Delta, and he quit working at Delta because he was making more revenue off of videos that he put on YouTube. He has a tremendous following. So his name's Jody. I think his name's Jody. Derek Pro, it's Aqua. Yes, thank you, sir. Amateur hour 312. That's pretty close. That is pretty close. Pretty close. So I'll say you're a little bit low, but you're pretty close. Shannon Vaughn, 175 spot welds. That would be close if you split it in per side. Yeah, be close. Sebastian De Silva, good night for everyone. I'm guessing that's good evening. Are you not saying goodbye? So I'll say welcome, Sebastian. I'm assuming. Let's see. Jerry says, Derek Pro, that's an 85. I thought it was a few years later. Gig'em Garage says, hi, Barry. Hi, Gig'em. I get a kick out of that because I don't know why you used Gig'em as your reference there. But in the military, there's always about gigs. And I don't know if that's in relation to military terms. If your uniform was not wrong, you'd have to get a gig for having something wrong with the uniform or inspection. So anyway, Terry Heathley, 285 spot welds, just a little low, 64.5 Stang, 417, not including the 5 you had to redo for burn through. Nope, you're a bit high. You're getting closer though. I mean, bring it down. Derek says, put welding glasses on the camera. Yeah, I tried doing something along those lines. Clark Clifford. Rumor has it Jody gets around. Yeah, that's what I hear. Troy, I sent a picture of the right rear apron. Let's see if it comes. There it is. All right, we're going to download that. I think I know what you're going to talk about here. Send a picture of the right rear apron. I have to make a lot of alterations. More to come. Yes. Let me see if I can get that. I just had a conversation. There's a person I've been kind of helping out. He's putting his car together, and he's never done one before, and he's running into problems, and he'll send me pictures and say, what should I do here and what should I do there? And one of those was the rear aprons mating to the firewall. And I'm going to show, this is Troy's picture. Okay, so this is different. Let me see if I can pull your, hold on a second. Pull that, whoop. All right, give me a second. All right, stop scrolling. It's going all over the place. All right. So his comment, I'm still working on the right rear apron I bought from CJ. It was supposed to be dynacorn. I had to add 1/2 inch to the top because it was too narrow. I'm now making a new flange to fit the firewall. The small one, it doesn't leave any room to weld. I will also have to relocate the holes on top. They don't come close to the fender. Yeah. And I'm not surprised. That's why I talk about fitting things and making sure that you set the fenders in place and put everything on it that you can. We've run into this on several occasions with different vehicles where it's easy for us to think that, well, they made this part, it should fit. And then you put it on, and then you start putting things together later on after you've welded or whatever, and then you're like, no good. No good. So I'm glad you're remedying those problems, but it's never fun. And CJ, I don't know how they get away with it. I really don't. Whenever they're trying, and maybe I'm wrong, but they're putting their name on a product and saying that this is just a dynacorn version of their, dynacorn, same part. I don't buy it. I really don't. I've seen pieces I've had here that it says, CJ Classic on it, and I can put it right next to an original dynacorn, stamping, and they're not the same. So I don't know what they're doing, if they're giving, I don't know. Because you would think they got to pay some sort of licensing fee or something to dynacorn to say, hey, can we just put your name on it and say that it's good? Now dynacorn runs the risk of saying, well, yeah, sure, go ahead. But, when it doesn't fit, who gets looked at? But I really question that. I really do. I don't trust what they're saying. I'd rather just go ahead and get the dynacorn part and be done with it. So y'all can call me Rab. Oh, Rab. Okay, RABIWO are my initials. Comes in handy as a username. Never in use by previous user. As a newbie to YouTube lives and chats. What is the cowbell? That is just a participation. It's a little reward system. It's like what was it? Pavlov's dog, right? So he got his dog interested in he would ring the bell when it was time to feed him, and the dog would participate, and it got to the point where he would ring the bell and the dog would show up and want to eat or whatever. And that's the idea. I want to keep people interested. So by ringing the bell, you are participating, and I want to encourage you to participate. So it's just a reward system that I have, and hopefully it keeps people involved and interested. And so that's basically the way I look at it. I thank everybody for being here and being part of the show. And so it's there's not much else I can offer. I can't sit here. I can clap and stuff, but the bell kind of makes it functional for me. Car Guy Troy, hey there. I'll guess 325. What are we guessing on? The number of spot welds to put on both quarter panels, the deck filler panel, and the rear seat separating panel. You're very, 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 very close. Very, very close. Dave Tyson, my wife had a number of nerve burns. That just doesn't sound appealing at all. But I'm glad it seems to help. So, 67 Mustang Coupe Restoration. You probably need to use a speed lens helmet for the camera. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but I'll look it up. I'll look it up. Gig and Garage is Texas Aggies. Okay, I'll take your word for it. So, yeah, I guess I don't see the connection, but I'll take your word for it. Jerry, yeah, I thought that, yeah, that is what I thought it was. I was talking about the Alpha. Robert, have to set the exposure in the camera to fixed instead of automatic. Oh, well, that might be, yeah, that might help. Might have to experiment with that. Dawn says, so does that nerve burn kill all feeling in your leg/feet? That is a great question for Troy. I'm not, yeah, I guess it has to be specific. C&J, how about 380 spot welds? That's too many. Derek Pro, yes, Jerry, built 85 has stayed that look until the 90s. Steve Reed, 410, too high. Dawn, I used sun filter sheet behind a clear filter lens to video the Eclipse in 2017. Worked great. Okay, sun filter sheet behind a clear filter lens. Okay. Terry Keithley, 360 spot welds. Too many. Derek Pro, one thing we've learned from you, Barry, and the resto work we do, panel or mechanical aftermarket bits very rarely fit the first time. That is an accurate statement. And I will say, probably my number one, well, I say number one. Back up just a step. I'm thinking Mustangs. However, on the Camaro that I did, the black Camaro I did years ago where I used AMD parts on it, AMD quarter panels, those things basically just like fell onto the car. They were fantastic. So I give a shout out to AMD for that. I will probably end up buying another set of those for the other Camaro that I'm doing. But these panels, the dynacorn on the 69, they are so close to being dead on. I haven't had to modify really much of anything except for maybe some minor trimming just for clearance issues. So very, very happy with these dynacorn quarter panels. So I'll also give a shout out to them on those. C&J, Barry, on the back trunk lower panel, would you replace with aftermarket or patch? Original, the patch would be the lower 2-inch on bottom. Okay, on the back trunk lower panel. So you're talking about the drop-off panel or the quarter? Back trunk lower panel. So if you're talking about the drop-off panel, that'd be my guess. You're talking about the panel that goes down here on the inside of the quarter. I would just patch that. I wouldn't. There's no sense in cutting any of that out. If your frame rail and your trunk, all that is solid, I have no issue with cutting out the bottom half of that and sectioning it in. In fact, if you look at my the Jade video series, I did that on my 68. I left the trunk pan in place, and I just replaced basically below the fold line of that area. Now, if you're talking about the quarter panel itself, the difficulty you run into on these quarter panels, and this is for everybody, is how close they are to being made correctly. And when I talk about that, I also mentioned that in the blue Mustang that I did, Mystique. The right rear quarter, the bottom of the quarter was bad. And I was provided a a patch panel or a crash panel. And a crash panel just means that it overlaps what's here. Like, they don't care at all how it fits or mimics the original shape. Basically, people would just cover up what's there and weld it on, bondo it up, and say, yeah, it's good, it's all fixed. Well, those panels, especially the bottom of the quarter comes down and then it angles back up. So it kind of creates that kind of shape, and then it flattens out, and then it drops back down again. So it kind of has that sort of shape to it. So if you're worried about that, the only way you can get that, I think, is either buying a full panel or an 80% skin and then cutting out that piece. So just some information for you on that. I like to see it replaced like the original or look like the original. The crash panels, it's just a round, I mean, it's literally like shaped like that. It doesn't have the transfers and all that sort of thing. So that's the answer for you. Just cut off the inner piece, but if you're going to do the outer, you're going to probably go for an 80% skin, and hopefully it has the right transition in the bottom. Great question. Sebastian says, yes, good evening. Yes. Thank you, Sebastian. Car Guy Troy, seated classic part numbers are listed on their site and in the catalog as the same part numbers as the dynacorn parts. I agree, they don't seem to be the same part, though, at least in my limited experience. Weird. Yeah, I don't know how they get away with it. As I pointed out years ago when I was doing the Brooklyn Pony car, we had fenders that said dynacorn on the box. Well, it said dynacorn on the sticker that was on the box. Basically, they were just taking the same fenders as everybody else and just slapping a dynacorn sticker over top of the labeling and calling it theirs, when it really wasn't. It's the same way with, what's the other guy's name? You know who I'm talking about. He does the same thing, puts his name on it. I can't think of it. But he puts his name on it and says it's, it's his. But a lot of times they're just taking the same old vendor, just putting a different label on it and calling it theirs. And I think it's a disservice to most of us. We expect by that name that we should be getting that part, and a lot of times it's not. Clark, Harbor Freight has a nerve burning kit for $20. I'll check it out tomorrow. I think I've used one of those. Michael, I just removed my upper cowl Saturday, started remaking the lower today. 350 rosette welds. Yep, there's plenty of those. Derek, are we talking Mopar numbers? I'm not sure on that one, unless you're talking about the numbers that they're putting up. Dave Tyson, 330, just a little high, just. And Mr. Mikey, 327, just a little low. I'll just tell you. Okay, it was 329. 329 spot welds. But those are all great guesses. Robert, I don't mind doing plug welds, but I hate grinding them off. So you force yourself to not put over or overdo them and pile up the weld. Yes, yeah, you definitely have to be careful with that. Gig'em, Texas A&M Aggies football fans say Gig'em Aggies when talking about going about opponents similar to Alabama, says Roll Tide. Oh, okay. So really it has no meaning. Roll Tide is one of the goofiest ones, I think, because you have they have the don't they have like an elephant or something as a mascot too? And they say Roll Tide and just all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I get the connection there. But it's one of those things that somebody started, and it's just everybody kept using it. Terry Keithley, 351. Troy, no, just that one nerve. I still have a feeling in my foot, but due to the vertebrae touching, my leg is still numb on the outside of my thigh. Ugh. Nothing positive sounding there. CJ, the drop off. Yes. Okay. So I answered that question. Amateur hour 342. Rick Stevenson saw the correct answer, so I will not spoil it for everyone. Derek Pro is at 328, and Clark says 329 after I said 329. So yes, 329 was the answer. Car Guy Troy, Scott Drake, I think is the name you're looking for. Maybe they do make some of their own stuff, but not much. I watched some video on the process on something. Don't remember what it was. Yeah, and I did a review on one of their fenders on the 68 because I had the original fender for Jade. I had an aftermarket one. I don't remember if it was from CJ or not. And I had an aftermarket one that was Scott Drake. And I did a really, really detailed comparison on those. Metal thicknesses, welds, structure, and really really looked at them hard. And after looking at what they offered, I said, you know what? I'm going to fix the original. And that's what I did. I figured out how to fix the original and just sent the other two back. Wasn't worth it for me to even mess with them. But yeah, it was definitely an inferior product. Alan, well, that's a tricky name. Shieldbroth. Never heard that name before. Glad you're here, Alan. Alan Shieldbroth. Thoughts on oxyacetylene welding cowl panels in? I mean, I guess you could. I'm comfortable with the MIG, so I always use the MIG when I do that stuff. If you're comfortable doing that, I don't see why you couldn't. It's a little. I feel like you have higher heat, needed to make that happen, and that heat kind of stretches further out whenever you're doing that kind of welding. But it could be done. Yeah. I still would prefer the MIG, but yeah, you could do it with that. Troy says I'm sending my doctor to Harbor Freight. Maybe my bill will be lower. Yeah. Clark Clifford, I'll admit I answered after you said it. If you admit Jade is blue. No. Not happening. Richard Vogel, Scott Drake stuff is from China. Yeah. Well, I mean, almost everything I could say is from China, but his is like South China or something. It's not the good China. It's not good China. We'll bring out the ugly China. Steve Reed, what about NPD quarter panels? Okay, that's a good question. I also did a comparison of NPD parts and the dynacorn parts on this particular car. And I was happy with the NPD quarter panel. And I have that quarter panel. And I'm going to end up selling it. So if anybody needs a NPD quarter panel for a 69 Mustang, let me know. And we'll see if we can't work something out. What I ran into, there were some minor discrepancies between the dynacorn and the NPD panel. And had I used both NPD or both dynacorn, I would have been happy. But putting one against the other, I wasn't happy. There was enough of a difference between those two. And again, subtle differences, very subtle differences. But by using both dynacorn, I knew that I had the exact same shapes and I could trust them. The NPD panel is very well made, and I would be happy if I had used two NPD panels. Just put it that way. I don't have any problem with them. I noticed that the only thing that was really different was this up at the top where there's a joggle. I got to use joggle again. They put a joggle in where the roof sits on top, but they made that joggle, and dynacorn does it too. They bring it all the way out to the flange of the inner structure. So basically you have the inner piece, and then the mating flange on the quarter comes up, and then it has a dip in it, and that forces this to separate, kind of like that. So I ended up cutting that to relieve that corner and bend it up a little so that it matched the shape. I actually pointed this out to Rick Schmidt. I said he was going to have his company look at it and decide whether they needed to change something. And I think they do, because that should not be that way. If you're going to compress it and weld it together, you don't want that dip in the middle. So I did have to modify it, and it was it was a minor modification, but it was something that it had to be addressed. Dawn says Scott Drake was bought out by Holley, has not been the same. Yeah, Holley has bought a lot of companies. A lot of companies. Derek Pro, have you seen the new laser welders? There's machines that are combo, rust removal by laser, welder, and cutter, I think. I've seen videos on it. Beautiful welding. Your thoughts? I agree. I've seen those, and I'd be happy to demonstrate one of those for some company if they were to provide me with one. I would love to try one of those out and see just how effective it is. Cleaning the metal, welding it together with just putting two pieces and just, it looks fantastic. So I agree with you on that. And again, if anybody's listening out there, if you want to send me one of those, I will demonstrate it for you. Troy, so far the NPD parts I bought have been good. I use their parts for the remainder. Yes. Yeah, they're good. Alan, I have a pacemaker, so I have not touched a welder in a while, so I was thinking about it. Maybe using some heat stop. Okay. Now that makes sense. That makes sense. What doesn't Holley own? That's a good question. Steve Reed, I need quarter panels for 69 fastback. Well, I have the... I think I have the... I don't know which one I have now. I have one of them. I have one of them from NPD. I think it was this one. I think it's the driver's side. Yeah, it's the driver's side. I have a driver's side quarter from NPD. Now, how I get it to you, I don't know, but I have one. So if you want to, you can send me an email or something, and maybe we can figure something out. Richard Vogel says, LOL Barry, I always try to buy NOS original used parts to avoid stuff from China. Yeah, I get it. Car Guy Troy, I just watched DD Speed Shop do quarters on a Camaro. Driver's side was 1/2 inch short, where the trunk lid met the quarter. Super bad. Said he didn't buy the cheapest panels, but both sides were sketchy. I'm going to say he did not buy AMD. I will say that. The quarters I had, the quarters that I have were probably better than the ones he put on that car. I haven't seen it, but I'm going to assume that. Even though the problem I have with the quarters on the 68 that I have is they're two different manufacturers, and they're not close enough in shape to each other. So that's why I want to just set those aside, get two AMD quarters, and be done with it. I'm not going to play around, and it's got to look right, or I'm not sleeping well. That's like my buddy Henry. He's got a 68 Mustang, and we talk. He's from Finland, and so we'll have conversations about his car. That's this car right here that we redid for him at the body shop years ago, and he's pretty picky. Like he's probably more picky than I am about details, and so what he'll say is, let's have an argument. And it isn't so much an argument as it's meant to be a discussion and try to figure out what is or what makes sense in modifying or fixing or making things work. And so his comment is frequently, when I lay my head down on the pillow at night, I can sleep knowing that I did it the right way. And I get that. I really do. And so I in a lot of sense, feel the same way when it comes to especially sheet metal and symmetry. I really have to have symmetry. Oh, that was the other thing. I took the rear valance and set it up in place on this, and it's a dynacorn rear valance, and it's very, very close. It's very, very close. I was quite pleased with that. A lot of times, what you run into on the rear valance, and I've done videos on this specifically, is this little corner right here. Your valance wants to curve under, and a lot of times that corner will fight you. And when you go to put the valance in place, it'll hit that. Now, I don't know if it was necessarily doing it on this car or not, but on other cars, definitely have had that problem. And, just one of the things you have to look out for. Steve says, okay, thanks. I sent you an email. Okay. Yeah, I don't know that I have, I don't know if I have any other parts or not. But a quarter panel I don't need. So, I might have some doors. Might. I have to think about that. Derek says, Didi had a budget, so purchased accordingly, but in hindsight, he probably would have rather paid more for better panels, as he spent many hours making it as correct as possible. Yeah, and that's the value of buying good panels when you can. I've had a lot of people on Facebook, and I try to share, and I know Rick helps me with that, sharing information on the Facebook pages for cars, or for Mustangs in particular. And a lot of recent conversations were about fenders. And people will post a picture, and they'll say, what's wrong with this fender? Why won't it line up? Why won't this line up? Why won't that line up? And I've demonstrated that very, very much on very well, I should say, on the Brooklyn Pony. I put the fenders on the car, and they would not fit, at least not to my liking. And after hours of trying to adjust and do things with it and going, there's no way this is going to work, I went in and I drilled out their spot welds, got the fender to relax where it belonged, welded it back together, and lo and behold, it fit. So the metal wasn't so bad. It was just that they did not have it on the jig properly, or they was in a hurry or whatever, and got things out of alignment. And so I've shared that video a few times on the Facebook page, and I know, again, Rick has shared information from my pages, and it's amazing how poorly these parts can be made and sent out the door, and then here we are on the other end of it. Okay, I'll just, at least I have something to start with, and that's true for a lot of us, but at least we have something to work with versus nothing at all. So we have to be thankful, I think, to a point where we have those parts at least in our hands to where we can try to do something with them. We'd really be in trouble if we were having to hand make all this stuff. So got to kind of take the good with the bad sometimes. Rab says, any lead on a trunk lid for a 69 vert? I am shocked they don't appear to be made. They don't make one for the convertible? Wouldn't it be the same as a coupe? Or do they not make one for the coupe either? Because I haven't looked into that at all. That's it. I hadn't even thought about that. That's an interesting question. I don't have an answer for you. I have not researched that at all. And he says only fastbacks. Well, then I guess what you probably have to do is contact like a scrapper, like somebody who's going through and buys up these cars and then parts them out. I don't know if Classic Cougar would possibly have that. I know they have a good deal of inventory of, I think, Cougars and Mustangs, and maybe they have something available, but I really don't know. But look up Classic. Is West Coast Classic Cougar? Is that right? Somebody? I think that's the right answer. But I can ask around and see if I See if I know of anybody. Derek, when I was on your live stream a couple of years ago, that was one of the issues, buying a cheaper, lower valance on the 66. Thanks to you and many hours, we made it fit. Yeah. Yeah, and that's, it's very difficult. The we want them to look, we want them to look right. And I was thinking about this just the other day because I've been playing that video game I talked about, Wreckfest, right? It's on PlayStation, and I'm having a ball playing that game. You're out there doing demolition derby, and the cars they provide you with are to start off with a '68 Mustang. That's your first car. Later on, you end up with a '67 Chevelle. Later on, you have like a '57 Chevy, and there's other foreign cars. I don't know what they are, but I was thinking about this the other day because, years ago when I raced on the dirt track and Roger was racing with me, we were putting on a 65, it was a 65 Chevelle that we were running on the track. And I've been to racetracks where I've seen actual like Mustangs being driven. And part of me was like, of course, I'm going to be upset about that. You don't want to see any of these cars get mangled up and destroyed. But anymore, you look at like the Dukes of Hazzard. They go out and they build these cars and they jump them to smash up and destroy them at these shows. And what they're doing is taking a Crown Vic and they're putting a Dodge body on it. It's all parts they got from AMD or whatever. They just build it around it and then they go out and wreck it. So it's not really a Dodge anymore that's being wrecked. It's a Crown Vic that they cut up and put all these sheet metal parts on. In the same respect, you could do that with, if you wanted to have a stock car, you could buy all these parts, the cheapest parts you could get from, Scott Drake or whatever, and you could put a body of a 68 Mustang on your stock car. And at least it would look cool. But you don't have to worry about the gaps. You don't have to worry about the fitment. So I look at it like that. If you wanted to build a generic, Mustang stock car, you buy the lowest grade parts you possibly can, and just weld them together on it and go out and have fun, smash it up, because that's all that's all they're good for. But we as users, we want to have the fit and the finish be there, and obviously it takes a lot of effort to make that work. So it just hit me the other day when I was thinking about driving around those cars on that game and crashing up a 68 Mustang, and I'm like, surely this has to be one made from Scott Drake parts, right? Okay, Dave Tyson says if you can't find the trunk lid, buy a fastback kit and turn it into a fastback. I guess that's one option. Robert, we will keep an eye out at Swap Meet Friday for a deck lid. Never know. Okay, good. Dawn says yes, West Coast Classic Cougar. So they may actually have a deck lid, and they're located in Salem, Oregon. Derek Pro, I still have the Ford tooling rear panel. Haven't sold it yet. That's gold. It is. Yeah, the tail panel for a 65 and 6. Yeah. If that's original tooling, yep, that's worth some money. Troy, I ended up buying MPD quarters for my 67 convertible. I have yet to put them on. They look great, but we'll see how it goes. Trying to get the trunk area finished up first. I'm kind of picky, so it's slow going. Okay. Rab is saying, Robert, where's the swap meet? I am in Texas as well, Houston area. Okay. Alan is saying 6970 Ford Mustang Coupe convertible Grande deck trunk lid, free ship on eBay, $650. So there's an answer for you. If you're looking for a deck lid, apparently there's one on eBay for $650. I don't know if you want to spend that, but thank you, Alan. That's some good input. And Robert's telling him Decatur, northwest of Fort Worth. Let me know if you come up to the Pate swap meet. So there you go. Might be able to hook up and find a panel there. Okay, so as I was talking about it in the last video that I made for this, and fitting things up and making things work and all that sort of thing. Again, I'm very happy with all of that. Now, I'm going to be working on the rain gutters. And I demonstrated just by setting the rain gutter up in place, more or less, and saying this is where it's going to go, blah, blah, blah. The more I looked at it, the more I'm like, this doesn't make sense. So when I had it in place, it didn't actually go the way it was sitting and I had it in place. It has to go underneath the roof and on top of the inner structure. So I was comparing that again to my original car, and I've come to a pretty simple solution to making sure that goes in the right way. So that's going to be part of the next video series, is getting the rain gutters have to be in place before the roof actually goes on. Again, what do we say? Sequence is scored. You got to make sure everything is going to line up and fit right, and that's part of it. So I'm going to get the header in, get that taken care of, and then I'm going to set the rain gutters in, probably tack weld them, or maybe screw them down, and then set the roof on and make sure everything lines up. And when it does, I'll be happy, and I can have everything put together and really close out everything from the A-pillars back as far as being fully welded in. So I'm looking forward to that. Gig'em says, where do you buy your dynacorn panels? I actually have two people that I know that are vendors. So I can give you some contact information for them. And you can, if you want to send me an email, I can get you hooked up with them. So there's an email at the bottom of the screen. One is up in Ohio, I think. And I think the other one is in the Midwest, somewhere like Utah or something. And that's basically the only way you can get these things, is to have get them through a dealer. So have send me an email and I'll see if I can't hook you up with that. They're on Facebook, and I'd have to pick out their names to be able to say exactly who they are. I can't think of them at the moment. Dave Britton, Barry, after Mustang, what will you be working on next? Have you decided yet? Well, I'm planning to finish the basket case Camaro. I've got to get it done. I've got to get it out of here. It's been here way too long. I don't need it. I'm not going to drive it. I'm not going to finish it. I'm just going to do all the sheet metal work and get it ready to be a roller for somebody. That's the plan. Unless I get a crazy itch and decide to turn it into an autocross car. But yeah, that's the plan, is to get the 68 Camaro done and out of my way. Yeah, and then after that, I don't know yet. Obviously, I have the Fastback 67 I want to do, but I have so many people that want to send me cars that I have to look at that as potential as well. Because if I do the Fastback on my own, that means I'm buying and paying for all that stuff. Whereas if somebody else is paying me to do the work for them, that's a lot easier, obviously. So I have to consider that. Derek, test fit. Yes, always. Steve Reed, I have a trunk lid for a 69 coupe. Well, that's what we're looking for. So I don't know how we can, if you want to sell it, if we can make arrangements on that. But again, if Rab, if you want to send me an email to the bottom of the screen, and if Steve has an idea if he wants to sell that or not, maybe we can work it out. Maybe. I don't know. Rick Stevenson, my bet is on the 68 Camaro being next. Yes. Cargo Troy also went to the junkyard today. They had a 67 coupe. Car wasn't bad. Shouldn't be there. Grabbed the doors and valance. Original good parts. Going back tomorrow to get battery tray panel. It's mint. You know what else you need to do, Troy? Let me just tell you up front. Salvage, if you can, the rear window trim. Try to get all that stuff. Rear window trim is probably the most important part. The other parts are the seals over the doors, the stainless strips. They don't make those anymore. If you can, get those pieces, save those. Otherwise, cut out the VIN numbers. Oh, I didn't say that. No. Don't cut out the VIN numbers and take them home with you. No. But yeah, those pieces, the stainless around the back glass in particular, because they don't make any of that, and the overhead pieces over the doors, they don't make those either. So think of it that way: is what's available and what's not. So that's a shame. That's a shame it's in the junkyard. Shouldn't be there. But I'm glad you got parts off of it. I would even take a good look at the fenders. Even if they have some rust in the rear sections, if the front are good, probably worth getting a hold of. I mean, as many pieces and parts you can pull, take them with you. Deck lid, anything that unbolts, get it. Chris Greenaway, to fund Poco, your 69 Mach 1. Yeah, I mean, Poco is going to be on a back burner for a little while. Poco, yeah, because I don't need to do anything with it. You know, I plan to sell Jade. I've got a few things to finish up on it, and then, yeah, there's so many things that I would like to do, but I have to be conscientious with my time and working on other people's cars. That's always the catch. Rick Stevenson, Camaro would make a great autocross car. Yes, it would, you know. And there's a 5.3 liter LS sitting back there ready to go, basically. Stop it. Dave Britton, are there any states that allow you to put a car back on the road after it was in a junkyard? Well, they used to. But now, if it makes it into the junkyard, they won't. It gets scrapped. I don't know unless it's like a mom and pop junkyard, where they kind of shade tree stuff. That might be the only option. Like I know a junkyard that's down the road from us. It's been down the road, been there forever, and it's all overgrown. I don't even know if the guy goes in. Like I don't even know if he sells parts anymore. But if he had a car in there, you could buy it. But yeah. Alan says, how did the trunk lid look? Talking to Steve. So, anyway, that's another. That's another. I don't know. We'd have to. He could share some pictures, and I could probably post them. But that's about as far as I could get with it. Troy, I tried to buy the whole car. It really shouldn't be there. They wouldn't sell it. Kind of a bummer. Fenders were gone, but other than quarters, everything looked really good, even the wheelhouses. That's just ridiculous. There's no way those cars should never end up in a junkyard. Dave Britton, I really wonder if they keep the titles, they could possibly come to Canada and get legal for the road again. Yeah, I know there's some places they may cut the VIN numbers off and sell them as collectible. Sometimes people will do stuff like that. But yeah, I don't really know what the potential is on that stuff. Okay. Yeah, that's a shame to have one of those sitting in the junkyard. Just not right. Just not right. On the other news, let's say good news. I say good news. Managed to find a vehicle for my daughter, and she had her 2007 Kia Sportage, which I've done videos on before, and that thing basically blew a head gasket, and I don't want to fix it anymore. I'm tired of working on it. So I helped her get a hold of a 2011 Honda CRV, so that's a good thing. But because I really I'm stuck because she has my Honda Fit. So if I want to drive something anywhere short distance, I have to use my truck. I want my Fit back. I want my little Honda back. So found her a CRV. Really nice about it was it was a one owner vehicle. Original owners had it, and you don't find that very often anymore. I've been looking for a month now, and there's so many of these fly-by-night dealers that show up on Facebook Marketplace, and they buy these cars at the auction. You don't know what's wrong with them, why they're being sold at the auction and whatnot. And so I was thankful that I found somebody who was the original owner, and they helped us out with the price and everything like that. So that was a good thing. So now I can get my Honda back, and of course the check engine light is on it, so I'm gonna have to fix it again. Whatever's going on with it, I don't know yet. Oh, Clark, you may be forced to buy the junkyard in its entirety. Yeah, but even then, there probably is some sort of catch because these junkyards have to turn in those titles. They have to process them. I don't know. They don't want to get caught up in sketchy stuff. But yeah, yeah. Steve Reed, I need to go out and look at it. It's been a while since I looked at it, and when I took it off the car, it had no rust holes. Okay. Well, if you want to, Steve, you can send me pictures of it, and Rab, you can email me as well, and maybe we can hook up and figure this out. So, but at this point, I'm getting ready to call it a night. I can feel my voice starting to get scratchy, and that's no fun. So it's been good. The Dawn, Barry plans to show the rotisserie soon. Well, I have to finish up getting the front half of the car welded on. Of course, I got to weld the roof on and all that stuff. But yeah, hopefully in the next, I'll say in the next few weeks, I hope that I can do a video on the rotisserie and actually have the car on it. But I'm going to have to finish welding up the front of the car, make sure everything's tight, fully welded. Roof, of course, rain gutters, all that stuff has to be on, and then I can consider hooking up the rotisserie. Dave Britton, I know back in the day, once you put the VIN number down in the Department of Transport book, it was a done deal for the crusher. Yep. Cargo Troy, they get dismantler titles here, I guess is what I was told. At least I figure I'll snag what I can, even if I don't need it. Yeah, definitely do that. Okay. So, again, that'll be it for tonight. I want to thank everybody again for being here. This is lots of fun. I know it's hard for me sometimes just to basically talk to you for an hour and a half. But I also find benefit in sharing information and getting people involved. So, again, thanks for being here. Keep following on the videos, thumbs up, comments, shares, all those things that help the videos continue to be growing and be seen. And until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.